We have a need for a closed session. We'll take a 10-minute break, and the closed session is for the closed session to establish or instruct the public body, staff, or negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken on or behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease. And with that, we'll take a 5 or 10 minute break. And again, I want to thank the fire department out here for hosting us. There's snacks over here, and it's a great outing. It was a lot of fun to come out here, and I just thank everybody. Thank you. And let's take a 5-10 minute break.
Well, let's take the break and then we'll come back.
Then we'll call the meeting to order. Yeah. And everybody's got a copy of the agenda. Now we're going to go into closed session, but we have 2 decision items after we come out of closed session. So with that, I'll be happy to ask for approval of the agenda. Everybody should have a copy.
So moved.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. And we're going to go into this room over here.
Motion for closed session.
And a motion to go into closed session, please.
So moved.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. We're in closed session. We're out of closed session, back into regular session, and need a motion to approve what we discussed in closed session, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the county manager to execute a purchase agreement, et cetera, for approximately 1/2 acre of land on Middle Ridge Road that is currently owned by Four-Way Farms LLC for future placement of EMS Station 6 and funding up to a total of $10,000 for the purchase of property survey, phase 1 testing, and perk tests from the general fund and the fund balance.
Thank you, Johnny, for the motion. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. That passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, we're back in regular session here. We got 2 items for decision. The first item is pay out of compensatory time for the non-exempt employees at the Board of Elections. Debbie Mace is going to present.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and Ms. Kate. At every one of our budget session meetings over the past several years, the Board of Elections has stated that our current part-time employee would be required to work additional hours on an as-needed basis, accruing comp time for those hours. The majority of this accrued time occurs during the months surrounding an election, beginning with the month before the election to process absentee ballots through the election canvass that is conducted the month following the election, or in the same month, a little bit later. This part-time employee works a full-time schedule during these 3 months to the volume of work, according to the volume of work we have at the Board of Elections. I don't have anybody else she has to work. In 2016, there was an additional unplanned runoff election, which added to the comp hours that was reflected for this year. The total comp hours currently held by our part-time employee also includes carryover comp hours from at least the last 3 to 4 years. I don't know what else to say.
Brian, do you have any comments or?
No, sir. We became aware of this and brought it to her attention. The amount of hours, we have a policy about comp time for county department heads to follow, and I wasn't aware of that. Our ladies in the payroll department saw the number of hours been really beyond anything they'd seen before, and that's how we became aware of it. As county policy says that I have authority to allow a department head for an employee to go up to 240 hours, and the ladies in payroll would have no idea who I've authorized or not authorized, so they don't deal with this very often. So anyways, where we are now, we need to come into compliance because this is over the 240. And they've got an election coming. This lady's gonna have to work, so we're needing to pay her out for a number of the hours to get her back well below 240, knowing that she will accumulate hours of comp time between now and the November election. And then, we can look at this at a later date, and maybe even when they come before the commissioners in February or so about any change in staffing they may feel that they need, that is justified by the hours that they're recording.
Any comments from the commissioners? Questions?
Election period is every 2 years. And the election is upon us, and I think Brian, you are saying we ought to, you are in approval of this, that we utilize $2,766 from fund balance, is that?
You're gonna need, we've got to get her below 240 to be in compliance with the federal labor laws. And we know that you've got about a month now for a presidential election, so she's gonna have to work some more, and I can't change the clock, so.
And I promise you, I do not work her if I don't need her. All I have is Arvin, and he's a full-time, he works the machines, and that's a year-round thing. That's not just elections. When we're not using them, he's testing on them, he's working with the flashcards, he is doing the inventory of the equipment that's mandated by the state. There are so many things with that equipment you would not believe. That is a full-time job. And then with Daniel not with us anymore, I mean, it's me and Wanda, and I'm not supposed to have to be a staff member. And I appreciate what Brian just said, that come February, we need to seriously look at this. I appreciate that more than any statement you could make.
But are we
Not
gonna be
saying-
able to keep her under the 240?
Well, I think we'll get through the election under 240, and then they'll need to look at letting her take some time off after the election is completed, depending on what their needs are.
How far back are you cutting payout? How far back are you going? How
Well,
many hours are you leaving her with?
Yeah, I understand that she's taken some hours recently, but
She has.
we'll have to calculate that, but it'll
Okay.
be under, I think, under 140, so she's got
She's
a
got
good
100
cushion.
hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other comments or questions?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman, I think the way this needs to be dealt with in the future is, we've got to keep a closer eye on those hours and, be sure that, we let her off and others, have to build comp time in the department and all that has to work together, but that's the only comment I have.
It comes up rather quickly when we work 22-hour days, and we do that. And, election night, or election morning, we're there at 5:30 and we're home 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And it adds up quick. It really does. And she has to be there because if I had another full-time person, she wouldn't have to be there 22 hours, which is where he's headed. And I don't mean this in any ugly way. And you can bet that I'm aware of these hours now, very aware. I did not know that there was a cap. And you're probably sitting there thinking, well, department heads have policy and procedure manuals. I don't mean this in a bad way, but I am not a county department head. I'm different. I have the state that I'm mandated by, and so does my board. I know the county funds me, and whoever controls your purse strings, I understand that. And I'll do everything I can to try to be as up on I can be on finance, HR, payroll, and still try to do my director's position. That's tough.
Other comments?
No indictment against you, Debbie, about what you just said, and I agree with what you said. As a former state employee, this was a serious matter to go over 240. I mean, dead serious.
Yes, so Brian informed me.
And so, to reiterate what was just said, even if we're working 22 hours days, we have really got to take track and keep track of what's happening with Wanda, so that we don't get in a situation like this again because I don't want to see us in a situation like this again. I want her to be able to work when you need her. So, and I know you're going to take steps to correct that. So don't take this as an indictment against you or your department. But now that we know what everything is, let's just truly make sure this doesn't happen again.
I will keep track of her hours. But I hope that you're aware also, Johnny, we have got to have another person. I can't send her home if I need her. That's all I'm asking.
We've been aware of that for 2 years.
Well, ain't helped. I'm sorry, I take that back.
That comes incrementally when we can get to it, and you know that's high on everybody's list
I know,
to make sure that this is corrected, so it'll be looked
I
at.
understand.
Other comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman, if we need to be in compliance with it, and seems like at this point, with the narrow window of election coming up, that we just need to approve the motion.
You want to go ahead and make that motion, maybe?
I'll be happy to pay out compensatory time of 189.17 hours for a non-exempt Board of Elections employee utilizing $2,766 of general fund balance as presented.
Thank you for the motion, Maynard. You've all heard the motion. All those in favor, please raise their right hand. Opposed, like sign. It passed 5-0. Thank you all. All right, the next item is request for temporary time-limited election specialist position. And again, Debbie?
Okay, I've thought about this all day, and with the recent resignation of one of our election specialists, we have a staff shortage due to, in a critical time in the election process. I can't tell you how critical this is. The Board of Elections office is in immediate need of a temporary full-time employee. That's the 2 months that we're talking about. This temporary employee would begin immediately and work through November the 30th of 2016. I have identified a person for this position that is familiar with the basic, and I do mean basic, duties at the Board of Elections office, and she's very familiar with the election process, having worked as an election judge many election cycles. This person would not be fulfilling the duties of the employee who recently resigned, but would provide basic support, allowing the remaining staff to complete their required responsibilities. During this critical time in the election process, there is not available time to recruit, interview, or train a new employee to fill this vacant position. When he resigned, 25% of my workforce left. And it's right smack dab in the middle, for lack of a better term, in a presidential election. If that ain't train wreck written all over it, I don't know what is. So I proceeded to get her to come in. I talked with Brian and Rhonda and Paul a week and a half or so ago, and Brian said, you know, all this, he said, guys, this is gonna have to go before the commissioners. I guess maybe I took that wrong, but I'm looking out for my department. I need somebody to start the next day. I don't need them 3 weeks from now. I need them now. And I called her and lined her up. On Friday afternoon at 10 minutes till 5, I get an email and informing me that I could not bring her in until this meeting. So I thought I was gonna lose 2 days, but thank goodness, my board member, she's been a chief judge. She came in and we quickly showed her a few things, and she's helped us drastically through the last 2 days, yesterday and today. Don't know what we would have done without her. We would have missed deadlines for absentees. We are on a mandate for 24 hours. When those absentee requests come in, they must go out, and we had stacks to hear, did we not? We did. So that's why I wanted to bring that person in Monday morning.
All right, again, questions or comments from the commissioners?
Well, comment I have, Mr. Chairman, this has been going on for quite a while. Seems like every election we go through this process. And I think that department needs to be looked at, and these people that she needs to operate that office should be provided to her and be trained so they'll be able to process an election, whether it be in trying to get people to come to work, 30 days before an election, like the presidential, is pretty rough. So I think that department needs to be looked at very carefully, and people that needs to be there, they shouldn't put them on the payroll.
Good, thank you, Jack. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I understand it, this will not take extra budget, but will be the budget from the person who left you
That's correct.
in the middle of the.
Right.
Will not
Okay.
affect the line item.
Good.
Anybody else? All right, as you see in our suggested motion, it says October 1st, and it really needs to be October 5th, which would be tomorrow. And anybody care to make that motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the creation of a temporary time-limited election specialist position for 2 months beginning October the 5th through November the 30th, 2016, as presented.
Thank you, Johnny. You've all heard the motion. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. That passes 5-0. And with that, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Good, and I guess, well, thank you.